I want to get Verlin to talk to us about our next things coming up on shows. We've got the fifth weekend as an open house for wine and water to wine.
The fifth Thursday in October, which is not Halloween, is the reception or whatever you want to have at the closing of the show at Water to Wine. And so invite anybody you want, and there will obviously be wine. We can bring snacks, but we can't bring the drinks. And of course, if anybody wants to buy anything, then at that point, it's kind of cash and carry because the show closes November 1st. Also remember that we have other shows coming up early next year, so get your prints in order.
All right, we have Roy from APPA here, and he's going to talk to us about a new area of cooperation that we have between NAPfS and APPA. Roy?
Bill, come here. I'm trying to.
I don't know. Can everybody hear me without the
Trying to
microphone?
full screen.
Okay. Well, I'll talk about. Hi, I'm Roy Nerdick. I'm here representing the Austin Professional Photographers Association. I am a master photographer, master artist, photographic craftsman, and certified professional photographer, which is what all this bling is about and everything. But basically, you get this and these degrees through the Professional Photographers Association of America, which is comprised of 35,000 photographers all across the country. Anybody can join. You don't have to be a professional photographer. So if you're not aware of that and are interested in that, we can help you out with that. Also a member of the Texas Professional Photographers Association, and I was on the board of directors last year. But what I wanted to do tonight is, since we are doing a concerted effort to have more cooperation between your organization, our organization, I wanted to officially invite everyone here to our annual image competition, which is going to be held on November the 9th. I wanted to explain a little bit about it because it is a little bit different than maybe what you're used to. Now, I've judged some of your contests before. It's been a year or two and everything, so I know there's a lot of great photographers in this organization. One thing that we are doing to encourage non-members in participating is we are going to give a non-member Best of Show award to basically non-members that participate. Okay.
You click on the PowerPoint once because your mouse is still talking to Zoom.
What do I need to click on?
Just on like the image, the slide. You just click on the slide now.
There we go.
Okay. Like I said, it's November 9th. Where it's at is at the Austin Beer Works, which is 3001 Industrial Terrace. And the reason we're doing that is before, when we would have it at Precision Camera, which is where we have our meetings, basically we had a panel of judges, which we will have a panel of PPA approved judges at the image competition, except they won't be physically on location. We're going to make this into a party. And so we're going to have it at Austin Beer Works. The judges are going to be on Zoom, and they won't be able to hear us. And that way, when we get their scores and their comments and everything, we can yell at them and cuss at them and everything else, which I know there'll be a lot of that going on. The scoring is based on the PPA 0 to 100 scoring scale. The final score is the average of the 3 PPA approved judges. So in other words, if somebody gives us 86 and another judge gives an 84 and the other one 83 or something, then basically it averages out for the final score. They are judged on the 12 elements of a merit image as set forth by the PPA. Okay. This is kind of the rules. I'm not going to get into it too much. It's basically, it's all digital. And the one thing you have to remember is the longest side has to be 4,000 pixels. Now, these rules are also on the APPA website. You can go under the tab, the competition. It'll give a monthly competition and the annual competition. So you can see a lot of this there. Okay. And this is the scoring system. Basically, 0 to 69 is below average. I don't think I've ever seen one of those. 70 to 74 is average. 75 to 79 is above average. Now, that's above average from most professional photographer that enter. So basically, getting the 79 is not a bad score, except merit is the only thing that gets you points that count towards the awards and the degrees. So basically, an 80 to 84 is worthy of a merit. That's the minimum that you're really trying to get. The 84 to 89 is excellent. 90 to 94 is superior, and 95 to 100 is exceptional. Now, 100 happens so rarely that whenever an image is given a 100 score, everybody takes a break and goes away and comes back and recoups and everything. In all my competition years, I've only gotten one 100, and that's at the Denver state competition. Okay. And these are the 12 elements of a merit image. These are also posted on the APPA website. I'm not going to go into all of them because, like I said, I don't want to be cutting into your main program too much or everything. But the main thing that I want to point out is the, gotta find it, presentation number 6. And basically all that is a digital mat. It's basically frames the image and presents it in a professional manner. There are many resources for how to put a digital mat on your image, but if anybody has any questions or anything, I'm happy to help out. I've got some, yeah, Bill can help you. Yes. Okay.
Is it 4,000 including the mat of the wall?
Yes. Yes. Total.
A maximum of 4,000 is what the rule says.
4,000 on the longest side, whether it's the horizontal or the vertical or whatever. So that's the main thing, because if you don't have a presentation, you will get counted off. Like I said, we are presenting a best of show by a non-member. I'm kind of working on something else. I'm trying to work with Precision Camera as far as them presenting an award for the best of show of everybody, to where you're competing against the APPA also. Well, that's not in there yet, but I think we have a good chance of getting that. The entry categories are nature, illustrated, and portrait. Basically, nature is landscape, flowers, wildlife that's not in a controlled situation. Illustrated is basically anything that doesn't fit into the other categories. And portrait can be animals or people or whatever in a controlled lighting situation.
Do we have one for babies?
No, thank goodness. And yeah, that gives us a chance, gives Valerie. The entries are done at printcompetition.com. It's the website that basically everybody uses. You don't have to be a paid member to enter into the competition or to see the competition on game day. If you want all the extras, it's something like $30 a year to be a member and everything, to where you can basically get into everything. But for entering the competition, it's no charge for that. There will be a charge for entering into the competition. I don't know if it's going to be like $20 or $25, but, and you can enter up to 5 images, but only the top 4 count towards like best case and things like that. And again, too, you can find out more rules and information at austinppa.com. That's it. Okay. Any questions?
I just have a question.
All right.
When you're doing the competition at the Austin Beer Works, are all the images going to be shown, or is just the top
No.
ones?
Basically, what they're going to do is you can get into where you can see what's coming up as far as the order and everything. When all the entries have been received, they basically, I don't know how they do. Well, they do group them by category, and they'll say, okay, we're going to present the nature categories now. And they'll go through and present every image that's been entered into that category. The judges will put their score in. It usually takes them out less than 30 seconds to complete a score. You'll see a score on there. And now there's 2 things that can happen. That score can be accepted, or a judge can challenge the score, either up or down. In other words, if a judge feels like that image has scored too high, then they will challenge, and they will tell why they're challenging that score. And then each judge has to give their score and tell why they scored it that way also. It can also be challenged if a judge feels like it's too low. You know, I feel like it should be scored higher and everything. Now, after a final score is entered, then at least one judge will comment on each image and basically say what they feel is good and what needs to improvement on that image.
So how long do you expect the program to last?
Depends on the number of images. West Texas photographers had their competition a few months ago, and I watched it. They had 98 images, and it lasted about 2 hours. You know, last year with just our members, I think we had about 40 images, lasted less than an hour. So, but like I said, we're going to have a party. So,
Yeah, just comment different than what we do here. The judges see the images for the first time when they score them. So it's raw right there at that moment is when the image is being judged. The other thing that I heard was print case. When PPA did true physical print competitions, you were allowed a case of 4 prints in your competition entry.
We're going to put all this info up on our website
Yes, sir.
and with the instructions on the mat, border, whatever, presentation.
Yeah, I'll put together something on how to do
Okay.
and I,
straight trim builds.
if anybody wants a card, you know, feel free to contact me and I'll help you in any way I can. I mean, image competition has done a lot for me. You know, I started in 2018 and I am that much better of a photographer simply because of having people critique my work and give me tips and everything. Like I said, these are going to be PPA approved judges. It's very, very difficult to go through the process to become a PPA judge. You have to go to judges training, then you have to go through an apprenticeship where you're judging images without being official and everything. So it's a good chance to get some really good feedback on your images. Not only that, it's just a lot of fun, and we're going to try to make it as fun as possible. And we'd love to have as many of you people there at our competition as possible.
And the folks here turned out such good images that we really need to participate in this. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay. Forgive my ignorance, but until tonight, I'm not aware of your organization, so I know nothing except what you've talked about. And you may have already said it and I didn't hear it, but from what geographical area will the competition images be coming from?
Probably within 25 to 30 miles of Austin.
So this is a local competition.
This is a local competition. Yes, this
Thank
is for the Austin area.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Austin PPA sponsored.
Yeah, they just had the deadline. Well, actually, the extended deadline for the IPC, which is the International Photographic Competition, which is the big image for PPA. That's where, you know, there's $12,000 in prizes and so forth. This is done at the National Convention in Nashville. And, you know, they may have 10,000 images in that competition, but that's done, like I said, at the national level.
One other thing for NAPfS folks, there is no theme that restricts your image, and there's no date that restricts your image. The only restriction I think APPA has is something that was in last year's.
No, the only well, we used to have higher restrictions, but I got those removed. But for now, the only restriction is that that image has not merited in an APPA annual competition previously. That's the only restriction.
So anything you have is, can be presented. Clay, you had something you needed to get in?
Yes, as membership coordinator, I wanted to thank Stephen Thomas for rejoining renewal. And just a reminder for all of you, if you get one of those email notices for renewal, we appreciate you taking care of it. And I wanted to welcome Carol Acuso because Carol has She has been a longtime member and seldom visiting us on a meeting. So she does great work and won a number of contests and also the book publishing. Did you want to say anything about your? Oh, I thought you did have a book on Cuba. No, got the wrong person. Here, no, well, she did. Is anything you'd like to tell us about your current work or what's your photography?
Thank you all. Thank you all be there. I gotta go.
Roy, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you,
well,
Roy.
Welcome back. And any others who haven't been back for a long time, you're always welcome.
Ty, you want to help her with that when she needs it? Oh. Would you take this to Roy in the parking lot? The guy that just left, that's his flash card. Hmm. Mary, are you good to go?
I think so.
Mary is our presenter tonight and longtime member, has helped make things happen around here for quite a while. Truly appreciated. And you have your mic, so take over.
I have a lot of mics. Is this one working? I don't need this one.
No,
Well, then here.
you're special tonight.
Can you hear me now? Okay, we're going to talk about books. We have a bunch of books. I love books. So I love books, regular books. I love photo books. I love books that are somewhere in between. So many years ago, I started designing them, ordering them, and printing them. I've done it professionally when I was an editor for a local literary press. And so I've done it on the job, and then I've just done it for myself. So I thought you guys might be interested. Who here has designed and had a book printed of their own photos? Only two of you. See? It's really good to have. I love having books of my photos. You can have them on your hard drive. You can have prints on the wall. You can have prints sitting around your house. But there's something about having a book that is just, I find it very satisfying. So I put together this one for how do you get started? Things to think about. What is this book going to be about? Who is my intended audience? What are the priorities for this project? What book format should I choose? And a big one is, where should I get it printed? Because there are a million places online where you can get your books printed. And then what the hell should I include? So we'll just step through all of these. Okay, what is my book about? Here are some examples. It's just pictures of your kid. That's fine, whatever you want to do. A mid-career retrospective. Now that could be scary. Or a late career retrospective, or just a photo album of a great trip. I have several of them up there, just trips I've taken with all sorts of, weird pictures of what I saw and what I ate. That's perfectly legitimate for a photo book. And then another one is documenting a photo series. Like I have one. Some of you have seen my underwater selfies. And I was doing them. I've been doing them for like 13, 14 years. And it took me years to realize I was doing a series because I just like doing it. And I never even thought I would display them, or it was just a strange thing I did. But then a year or so ago, it occurred to me like, maybe I do have a group here and I just wanted to get them together into one book. And so I've done a couple of them, still working on them, still doing a lot of editing. So it helps if you really get it clear in your mind, what's the subject of the book? And so that's a good place to start. Now think about your audience. Is it for a photography world? You're going to take the photography world by storm. You want a really beautifully designed, beautifully printed, professional looking book. Are you just trying to get back at the community college teacher who told you you didn't have any talent? Is it for your family? Is it for grandpa? Is it for, some of friends? Is it for just kind of people who might be interested in your photography in general? Or is it something purely for yourself? And all of those are perfectly legitimate. Now, this this gets complicated. What are the priorities for your project? Do you want to order something that you can get pretty quick because you want to have something for Thanksgiving for a specific? Like I did one book that was for a catalog for a show I had at the Doherty Art Center. And of course I needed to have it delivered and ready to go by a certain time. And is user-friendly layout software important to you? Because you can do, I have never actually done this. There's a module in Lightroom that lays out books. I've never actually done it. Has anyone, have you? Yeah. Do you want to say anything about it? Did you find it easy to use? Okay.
Everything. I like it because I do everything through Lightroom, so, well, it's all cataloged in Lightroom.
In terms of design and layout and everything, you found it pretty?
Yeah, it's pretty generic,
Okay.
and you can go in there and
Okay.
customize it a little bit more, and
Mhm.
it's through Blurb.
Okay, it's through Blur. Okay, that's
Yeah,
what I thought. the
it
default.
automatically sends it through Blurb.
Yeah.
So,
In my job, I worked through InDesign, which is just a book layout software. So I usually do that. Or sometimes I'm just so familiar with the various companies and their proprietary software that it works fine for me. So yeah, the software to me is not that different. Every different software has different little quirks that you have to learn, but I don't find any of it terribly confusing. A big one is print quality. They vary wildly. This book right here, for some reason, they just offered me this printed book for free. It's exceptional print quality. It came from a company called Saal, S-A-A-L. And so they said, just try a sample on us. So I did. Beautiful lay flat pages, beautiful print quality. I didn't like that you couldn't have an image on the cover, but this is among the best print quality I've seen in my stuff. Really, really expensive. This was years ago and I don't remember, but I was like, I can't afford that. So lay flat pages are beautiful, are very nice to have, and they really kick the price up. Anyway, goes into, so print quality, and of course, price. Price varies wildly. You can get really cheap ones, you can get good sales. If you just throw something together and go to various different companies, you can get wildly varying prices. And some places have extremely good sales. So, someone earlier here asked me, well, how much does a book cost? And it's like from $5 to $250. Really, it's crazy. Okay, format. The basic ones are pretty self-explanatory. Landscape is a horizontal, portrait is portrait, and there are squares. So that's a big one because it will affect how you have to crop your photos, how you're going to display them. Again, obviously, it's a big decision to be made in terms of how your book is going to look and how you're going to set it up and everything. Okay, here comes the very, very big one. There's so many companies that want to print your book. I think Walmart does it. Costco does it? No? Okay. Yeah.
I used to do it.
They moved to Shutterfly? Okay. And I've worked with Shutterfly. Yeah, you can go online. I put Tom's Guide is a good one. You can just Google best photo books printers 2025 and find all sorts of different they will go into long explanations about we did this and we did that and we calibrated our monitor and everything. And again, it varies wildly in terms of that. The ones I have the most experience with are Peekaboo, because I found them early. I did a lot of stuff with them. And then I found Photo Book America, which is an interesting site. I think they're actually printed in China, but yeah, it's very American of them. What I like about them is their print quality can be weird. sometimes it's really good and sometimes they forgot to calibrate their monitor. I don't know what, but they have really good sales. So every couple times a year, they will have a sale that's like unlimited pages. Of course, you know, pages are limited. But when they have their unlimited pages sale, you can get, I think this one is 200 pages for like $70. So you can get a lot of pages and often very good quality printing for a very cheap price if you watch them. And their customer service is a little weird, but they'll make it right eventually. So my actual favorite is Blurb. And the cool thing about Blurb is that they have, you can do Lightroom through Blurb, obviously. You can use their software, which is called Bookright. And they are almost like a full service book self-publishing thing. If you go through them, you can put it for sale on Amazon. You can sell it on their own website. So if you're thinking about selling, if you're thinking about sales, you can have it on the Blurb bookstore. You can have it print on demand through Amazon. So there's a lot of options there. You can also get an ISBN, which is very cool. So I'd say Blurb is just about my favorite these days. Also, Blurb has a cool thing. A lot of the companies just say soft cover or hard cover. Blurb has something they call magazine, but magazine is a soft cover. It has a very good price. It's very good quality. You know, it's definitely not a hardcover book. And I'd say it's maybe marginally flimsier than a standard soft cover, but I love Blurb's magazines. They've also got, you know, regular print books and trade books. So there's a wide range of quality, price, and they have a lot of supportive services. I've done webinars with them. They stream on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel. They have a guy who writes blog posts about design. And I've gotten a lot of really interesting tips out of them, even though I think, you know, I've been doing it for years. Like a lot of things I think, oh, I know all about Lightroom. I don't have anything to learn, but obviously I do. When I go take part in a Blurb webinar, YouTube live streaming or something, I always learn something very interesting. So these days I'm a Blurb fan, although if I see a good sale anywhere else and I need to have a book, I jump on it. Okay, what images shall I include? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Because you were born and so you're free. Laurie Anderson said it best. So happy birthday. Again, this is why I like Blurb. And I pretty much said all that. The last webinar I did, or YouTube streaming live thing from Blurb, they gave me, I thought was a very interesting tip that I could have used before. If you've laid out this huge 200-page book, and they always tell you, especially if you're going to order multiple copies, order a proof book, go through it carefully. Have you misspelled anything? Are you know, is anything really wrong? Is anything off the page and everything? But the tip they gave me that I thought was very interesting, your first proof book does not have to be the 200 pages. You can order you can order a book with the first 20 pages and just have a general look like, is this working? Do I need to rework this and everything? So that's one of my favorite tips I got from Blurb. If you go online and Google, I did some research before this. If you go online, who are the best photo book printers? You get a wide range of opinions from everybody in the world. And something called Mixbook has come up multiple times. Does anybody know anything about Mixbook? Mixbook always comes up as in multiple people's opinions or people who write online as the nexus between quality and price and, you know, consistency and everything. I've never ordered anything from them. Maybe I'll try them, but I'm pretty happy with what I've got. But above all, get your photos together, make a book, and have fun. So That's really all I have. And ask me questions. Look at my books. Anything you want to talk about?
Did you have somebody help you curate it? Did you have somebody help you curate what you put into the book?
No,
No, just no,
no,
no editor.
no.
You want to-
I'm sorry? That is the last blurb thing I went was on curating your own books. And we spent a couple of hours, well, like probably an hour and a half, going through the whole design process with this woman who does travel books. She's New Zealand, I think. And they had a lot of things to say, but a lot of it about pacing, about what I thought was interesting. One of the things I thought was interesting is pacing, leaving air, leaving even blank pages here and there. For Round Rock image creators, I created a catalog for a show we had a couple of years ago. And for the first time, I was like, usually my tendency is to just throw a million pictures in there and have some kind of sequence and some kind of pacing and everything, but I want to use every bit of every page. But when I did this catalog and when we had multiple people's images and everything, I felt like they needed white space. I felt like they needed room, and I would leave a white, blank white page in between. And one of the guys jumped all over me. Is like, well, why didn't you fill up that page? It's like air, I'm giving it. And I felt vindicated because this guy, this blurb guy who does all their public relations stuff, he said a white page is content, and it's a chance for the reader to breathe. And that really struck me. I haven't designed any books since then, but that rang a little bell in my head. So I think I'll have a little more breathing space in my books coming up.
So how much information or storyline should you try to play into the book, or is it necessary?
It depends on the images. One of the books I'm planning is this place in Myanmar that I've traveled to multiple times, Pagan. And I've done probably 5 or 6 different books trying to get it right. Because I have so many images, because it's this 25 square mile area of thousands of Buddhist temples. Some of them are ruins, some of them are nice and everything. And I really struggled with, do I have captions? Do I have text at all? Do I have any kind of history or explanation? It usually just depends on what your subject is. So another thing another tip that really struck me when I was struggling with this in this last travel design book webinar from Blurb is, do you want to have captions on your pages? Here is where this was taken. Or do you just want to have the image? And so far, I've just wanted to have the image. But I think when I redo the Bagan book, I want to have some idea of where I am, what the name of the temple is, if you can figure it out, because it's a mess. It's so hard to figure it out. But this woman who did the travel books had a clever way of doing it. She had page numbers, just the image, and then at the end, she had a visual index. It was almost like a contact sheet, thumbnails of the images with identifying information. This was taken in Kenya. This was taken in wherever. So there are multiple ways to do that. Do you want a lot of text? Do you want no text? Do you want just the image? Do you want a little caption? Again, it's your book. So far,
Hey, go wild.
go wild, have fun, be creative. And you don't even have to do the standard, like the mat, you don't have to do white space or any kind of space around it. You can layer images and play and go crazy too. So I haven't ever gone too crazy with mine because they mostly are photo, I want the images to think. But I think in the coming year or so, I'm going to try to get more into the design aspect of it and maybe have multiple things interacting with each other rather than an image and an image and image.
I was curious, how often as you're looking through photos, do you see like the bones of a book and then go out to complete it? Are you creating books from your catalog or shooting for books more often?
That's a good question. Usually I'm going through my when I go on a big trip, like multiple times back to Bagan, somewhere in the back of my mind, it's always like book. But more often, but that's a big project. And I thought book, because when I was first planning to go to Bagan and then go back again and again and again, I would try to find books, and there are no books. There are just a few, they're out of print. And I was very excited because I was going to put together a book, and I was going to pitch it to traditional publishers, and I was going to have a published book and everything. And it was excited because just about the time I started that, Bagan got UNESCO World Heritage Site status. And you could tell they were gearing up. So they were paving the roads and they're expanding the airport and everything. And so I'm like, this is going to be it. Then pandemic, then the Civil War. You can't go there. It's still on the State Department's list of don't go there. I know some people do. So I'm on a Facebook group of people talking about go there, it's safe. And other people say, do not go there. There's a war. So, but book in that case, but from the first time I was there, book was in my mind. But like I said, with my crazy underwater selfies, again, it never occurred to me. I was a decade into that before I was like, oh, this is a series, and maybe if I put them in a book, that would work. So I'd say
Some of each.
some of each, maybe 50-50. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, on these different websites where you're having books made,
Mhm.
do they have like the software that you use to organize your book?
Mhm.
Do they have like standard formats and stuff? So like
Yes.
Affinity, there's some other Affinity users may know. Can you use the output from the Affinity publisher stuff and submit it to these? If you went to Walmart, it's going to be, you use their little app, I think, and you just sort of develop it online, and then you lose it, and then you have to go back and do it a second time because it didn't save the changes or whatever.
So I haven't used Affinity's bookmaking stuff. My experience was with Motif Photos, and I think they were attached to Aperture back in the day and early in the days of Apple Photos. And so they were just who I know. So I can't answer you about Affinity Photo.
But even with
With-
stuff from Adobe or whatever, will they take, or like a PDF? Will they take a PDF?
A lot of
your
them
book,
will take a
or do you
PDF.
have to develop stuff within
You could-
specific things?
I know Blurb does PDFs. Another cool thing about Blurb is you can publish your book as a digital PDF that people can download. Yeah, but most of Blurb, you can either go straight from Lightroom in the printing module, or you can work in InDesign and upload that. Or I have downloaded their software to my computer. It's called Bookright. But most of them, you log into their site. You use
Like
their.
right now, you might work with 3 different ones and you don't know which one you're going to print to. Necessarily, when you start your book, you might start designing a book and then say, oh, they're having a sale, I'm going to do it over here. And that you would have it in a format you can send to them.
I have never done that. I have never started and then I did a direct comparison between with the underwater selfies. I wanted to see what if I ordered it from Blurb as a magazine? What if I ordered it from Peekaboo as a thing? I've never tried to directly take from one to the other.
So when you did that,
With
you
it-
actually redesigned it
Yeah.
in each software and just tried to make them almost identical.
Almost identical, but it was a very simple layout and
Yeah.
sequence and everything. So shifting from one company to another, apart from that one, I've never actually tried to do that. Once you design, if you go online and use a company's software, they store it. So if you want to go back years later, and order the book, it's still there. But InDesign, I know Blurb takes InDesign things. So you design it on if you're using Adobe InDesign.
And I would imagine that the other.
Affinity Designer will export as InDesign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but so that would be a standard that most of these book-centric ones would accept.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I think so. Roger?
I would appreciate any any advice you might have for monitor settings and such to help ensure the book, when you physically have it, that the images look like what you expect them to look like. And
Calibrate your monitor.
I've had more than a little trouble with that. So any tips will be appreciated.
You buy,
I've had several blurb books made,
yeah.
and I'm about 50-50 on like the images that come back being what I really thought they were going to look like. So if you've got that process down, I'd like to know how that works.
I
If
don't.
you, if you have a problem photo, and I definitely have one that when I send it anywhere to be printed, it comes very different than what it looks like on my monitor, no matter how calibrated my monitor is. Then have them either send them, this is what it's supposed to look like, or get a small version. What does this picture look like?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like maybe a contact sheet.
Exactly.
Would be an
some of
indication. Yeah.
You can do a color profile. So you can say, what is the color profile you're printing it with? And then you can pull up that color profile in whatever program you use natively and say, I want to look at it with this color profile, and then
Okay.
adjust your pictures and then send them back to the company that's printing them.
Okay.
Personally,
Kind of what you're talking about there.
I
think-
calibrated my monitor during the pandemic and I haven't touched it since. I know. So you might, let's let him talk and I'll just stand here and be
The
a
first thing you need to do is calibrate your monitor. I'd like to understand what Verlin's problem image
Yes,
is.
let's have someone who actually calibrates their monitor. I think I'm just lucky.
I don't see much change when I calibrate, but I calibrate regularly.
Okay.
When you calibrated monitor and you're in a room, what kind of light? Do you have a light above you, ambient light? How do you lighting the room?
I'll answer that.
That'll depend. It all
Oh my God, is there
depends.
an
It all depends. Depends on what
Is there an?
calibrator you're using
Oh, my God.
and how much you want to pay. Some you can calibrate with your lights on, and then you calibrate with your lights off. And then you have two different calibrations. Sometimes you can have three different calibrations. Is it daytime, nighttime, lights on, lights off? So you could go down a serious rabbit hole on calibrating your monitor. So
Good enough. Thank you. Yeah.
I think that sometimes also when you're looking at your pictures, if you have the white border around it, then you will see that whether it's too dark, because a lot of times you might be sitting in a darker room and you have a black border around it and you're getting your picture looking great. Then you get it printed and it looks really dark because your monitor has light coming through it. It's not, but if you have the white border around it when you're looking at your pictures, then you sort of will see that, oh, that actually looks pretty dark.
Very hard to hear. Did you say put a white monitor around
No.
the border?
Order.
In the software, when you're working on it,
Oh,
I assume you
okay.
can do it on most
Doing it
of
with
online.
software. Gotcha.
You can have a,
In Lightroom,
Thank-
yeah.
that
yeah,
sounds-
so you can have that
yeah, I
white,
like that.
you can have it gray, you can have it black and other levels. But if you're going to print it, if you put that white, a lot of times that's the thing that really surprises you is they come out much darker than you expected. And as soon as you put that white border in it, like, oh, that looks pretty dark. But
Interesting.
your eyes get used to the level of the light in the room and you have a dark border around it, then all your stuff looks bright comparatively. And so you think, oh, this looks great. And it would on a phone, but not on print.
As you all know, as you walked from outside to in here and nobody turned green when you walked in, different lighting has different colors. We've all have tungsten light. We've all messed with white balance. Well, the same things when you're editing pictures. If you get used to looking at something, yeah, that looks completely normal. People are supposed to be blue.
That is a serious consideration because older eyes have a yellow tint to them. And when you have cataract surgery everything will be blue.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, are you finished? I wanted to ask you, if you touched upon it, I missed it. I was fiddling with things, but did you touch on how you decide whether you want to sell your book or put a price on it? Or if you can get, if you have a book, maybe with an example of, maybe you showed it to friends and they said, oh, I want one. You decided that. So how do you decide whether you're doing it for yourself or marketing it?
This is the only one that's offered for sale online right now through Blurb. And I decided, I thought I could sell some at the opening. I did. And
The gallery show.
at the Doherty Art Center. And then people bought a couple online afterward. And I thought it would work because it's a cohesive body of work. During the pandemic, I spent a year wandering around Austin in the area, taking an infrared photo every day. So it's infrared, which people are interested in. Some people, if they know what it is. And it's a cohesive body of work. 365 photos. They didn't all get into here. They didn't all get into the show. But I thought that would be enough of a hook for people to buy it. And I've sold some of these. So this is something that I thought would be sellable. Interesting as, odd photos with infrared. Interesting in that it's all right around Austin area. I think I took a few trips during the pandemic, but nothing. So it's got enough of holding it together that I thought it would be saleable to a general audience, and I've sold some. Yeah, a lot of these. So that's when I decided that could be sellable. Projects I have going forward, I'm wanting to do a series of infrared photos, but in various destinations. Like I've got some in Paris. I want to go to Lisbon. So that's my plan for the next few years. Infrared books based on one area of Bagan. I've got a lot of infrared in my Myanmar thing. So I think a cohesive body of work or a big name as a photographer, which I don't have. I have a little small name anyway, but is it a subject of general interest? And it doesn't have to be a huge, number of day in a life in America. Everybody's going to buy this thing. But is it enough to not just hear a bunch of pictures I took, unless you're Steve McCurry, who cares? So what makes it fit together as a body of work that might be of general interest to someone other than you and your friends and your mom? So yeah, yeah.
They're good for Christmas gifts.
They're good Christmas. I've done that.
You can't charge them for that.
No, I guess not.
Can't charge them.
I'm not sure.
Just a comment on our calibration and process control. That's something we all need to pay attention to whenever we're dealing with our images, is to be sure that we have the calibration on the whole flow. Because if you don't, you'll have unexpected results.
You say the whole flow
Well, your camera, your displays, and your printing process. And like Stephen said, if you don't have a room that's always the same lighting, you may need to calibrate for different lighting conditions.
And I don't do any of that. So I just
Another thing you can do, somebody brought up contact sheet. I've done this with my printing. Take one picture and then you just do several different, brighten it this much, brighten a little bit more, brighten a little bit more, or darken, and then print a test page and see which one out of all them kind of look. And then you can kind of get a baseline. If you're printing the same type or styles of images, like I like printing my landscape photos. So they're all kind of the same style. So I could see which way so when I print, because I've noticed when I print after I edit, I always need to just increase the brightness of my print just a little bit more. So when it actually prints out, it looks pretty good.
one of my reoccurring problems. So sorry, I keep forgetting. I'm really done. Thank you. I'm good. I'm done.
And Carol, were you with us when we visited the Art Direct studio by any chance?
It's not, I missed that one. I wanted to go.
They're a Austin company in Northeast Austin, and we visited their business, and they will spend time with you, I think, to get prints or a book ready. Anybody have experience they want to share with Art Direct, how you did it with them?
Art Direct
It's
gives us
local.
a 20 or 30% discount as local artist. 30.
Yay.
So
And
it's,
they do books?
I don't know if they do books, but
Okay, okay.
they do real nice prints. They'll print large images on metallic paper.
Mhm.
They will mount it on gator board or on foam core, whichever you choose.
Yeah,
Metal, yeah.
those aluminum ones are beautiful. Yeah.
But on print media, and I assume on books, you have to know what your paper is going to be
Mhm.
before you generate the print for it. And
Mhm.
that's a consideration. And you're probably going to need several tries to be sure you get results you like.
That's also a consideration while ordering books. You often have 2 or 3 options in terms of paper surface and weight. And so for me, for someone who's lazy about stuff like calibration and just kind of likes to wing it and see what happens, that's an argument for working with a company again and again, because I would get to know that like Peekaboo prints a little dark and kick the contrast up a little bit and make it a little brighter than I like. I got to know what Peekaboo did. So I would kind of adjust for that in my own thing rather than calibrating my monitor like I should have. Blurb, I find that however they have their stuff calibrated kind of fits with mine, because I'm usually very happy with what they do. So I feel like it's a good fit for me, and I don't have to do all the calibration stuff, and my calibrator can sit there in my drawer and never. Yeah,
It's expired.
it's expired.
So like when I was dealing with Art Direct, what I did was I printed until I got the picture I wanted off my printer. And then I took that physical picture there and said, make this big metal print look like this little 4x6 print.
And they worked with you and did that.
And they worked with me and did that.
That's an argument for working with local people. Yeah.
Another step down the rat hole for calibration. Most labs have ICC protocol profiles.
Profiles.
And you can get that profile and output your image to match that profile. And that's that last step of calibration between your screen and the print.
ICC profiles I actually do.
So far, I believe you've only talked about one of your books. Could you tell us a little bit about the journey you had with some of your books there, or each of your books? Since you brought so many, I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to have you tell us a little bit about why you did them as a book.
On Myanmar, that's my big love. I want to go back there, but I don't know if I ever will. I've got 50,000 photos of it. And so I've been there 4 times. The last time I was there was just before the pandemic, so 2019, and I stayed a month and just fell in love with the place and the people. So I've got infrared books and color images of Bagan, because it's just a stunning place. I love it. So that's 4 journeys to one place. This was a transatlantic cruise. I have thought about it. I don't know if I have enough work for infrared shots taken on a cruise ship, because infrared shots, are trees and, foliage and nature and everything. What on earth do you shoot on a cruise ship? And I'm still working on that. I have a lot of interesting images from cruise ships. But this one is mostly, I think it's all color from various transatlantic cruises. Yeah, there's some infrared mixed in here, because I'm really interested in the kind of community that develops on a transatlantic cruise, because you're not going to Mexico and Cozumel and Cabo San Lucas and everything. You're in the middle of the ocean for a long time. And I find that a fascinating journey within yourself and community that develops. Wow. I wasn't shooting infrared when I was in Alaska. I'd love to do that. Yeah. This I did when I was working for Callisto Gaia Press. My boss loved this crazy guy in Houston, Larry Crawford. He is a real nutbag. he would track down celebrities. He would do paintings of them, acrylic paintings of them. He would do 2 acrylic paintings of them. Then he'd go stalk them and track them down and say, one is for you, you choose which one. And then, one will go to my collection. And so I went and interviewed him multiple times and got all his anecdotes about, Ricky Nelson, Anthony Quinn, Hillary Clinton, Phyllis Diller, and everything. So that's the journey of this one, this crazy guy in Houston. Let's see. Venice, I love Venice. This is a whole book of Venice in infrared. And this is one of my favorite books and my favorite cities in the world. And
It's an extra large format too.
this is landscape, and I didn't talk too much about format in that what works with your photos. I love landscape for all the panoramics I was shooting. But the problem is, what do you do if you're shooting verticals? It's not as conducive. I think in general, these long landscape can be very nice if you're shooting a lot of panoramics, landscape orientation and everything. But I also shoot a lot of verticals. So in terms of being not the most, dramatic at first glance, but in terms of being the most versatile, I think the plain old portrait 8.5 by 11 works for me, because you can have a spread, especially if you can afford the lay flat images. You can get a nice landscape, but then the verticals look very strong too. This one is from a journey to Death Valley. When my friend died, he loved Death Valley, so we took his ashes to Death Valley, and we camped and we scattered his ashes all around Death Valley. So that's what this is. And let's see. This was just a road trip to Chicago. And yeah, those are most of the images, the journeys. But I love to, whenever I take a trip, I love to make a book about it. And it's a way of obviously reliving it. I'm sure all of you do that just in your own way with your own catalog. But to have that book anytime you want to go take that trip again, I recommend it for getting a friend told me that I always take 3 trips. I take it in advance, planning it and thinking about it and talking to everybody about it. And then I do it. And then I have all the images afterward and make a book. So it's like you're getting triple duty out of every trip. So especially if you love books like I do, to have something in your hand afterward that you can just go to your bookshelf and say, oh yeah, oh my God, that incredibly fat woman. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's yeah. I just love books.
I like the 3-trip concept. That's good.
Yeah.
And it makes you plan. One thing, when you first showed up, you said this was the first time you've used PowerPoint. Your slides are gorgeous. Absolutely pieces of art.
I used Adobe Express.
Ah.
Yeah. I didn't even know what they called it. What do you call these PowerPointy things? So I went online and said, what are PowerPointy things? And they said Adobe Express. But yeah. And Adobe Express was fun with all of this. I did it all today. Yeah. Yeah, thanks.
And do you want to talk a little about your website? Because you have a personal portfolio website. I hope people will go visit it.
Yeah,
Give the URL and you don't have a store on there, but you could add one.
I know that's on my list of things to ignore this year. Yeah, yeah. To ignore it. Things to not have time for this year. Yeah.
What is the URL?
It's just marydaylong.com.
marydaylong.com.
Yeah. And frankly, I haven't looked at it in a year or so. So I need to look at it and see how out of date it is. But yeah. I set it up about a year ago so that I would be constantly updating it and adding to it. And then I haven't looked at it in a year. But the cool thing is you can set it up in Lightroom so that anything you drag into a Lightroom folder immediately updates. Because I host my website through Adobe Portfolio. They host it, so you don't have to. I just bought the domain. I bought marydaylong.com. But then since I have it hosted by Adobe, I don't have to have a web hosting site. And anything I drag into a special folder from Lightroom goes right onto my website. So I have absolutely no excuse for ignoring it as much as I have. So now that you've reminded me, I might do that.
I have a question.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sorry, it's Carol. I'm online, so I don't know. Maybe you just hear my
We
voice.
hear you.
We can hear you, Carol.
Your disembodied voice.
Yes, sorry. So my question was, because I've used Blurb before, and they used to have this like resource thing where you could like get people to help you with points of your book. Like I know I used someone to design my cover once before, and I'm wondering if they still offer that service because it was really handy. Like you could actually find someone, like if you had a whole bunch of photos and you didn't want to go through the process of designing a whole book, you could find someone and they would just do the book for you. Like you know, the guy I used, like what happened to me was I wanted a cover and I didn't want to design it myself. I wanted like a nicer cover. So I contacted him and I said, I don't even know what photos I want on the cover. I would like you to just design it. He said, okay. So he set up a Dropbox for me and I put all the photos from my book in the Dropbox and he downloaded it and he surprised, you know, he made a cover and surprised me and said, you know, these are the couple choices I have for cover. Which one do you like and everything. And I worked with him and it wasn't a lot of money and I was able to get a really nice cover for one of my Blurb books. And if they still have that, that's really handy to have. I don't know if they still do have that or not, or have you tried that at all?
I haven't used that. I'm not familiar with it. Is this for your China book, Carol?
Yeah, I did it for my China book, but there's I forgot what they called it. It was like resource. It's basically you could get professional cover, like graphic designers who do book covers or layout or proofreading. If you wanted to do a book where you want like a copy editor, you could go onto, it was buried in Blurb somewhere and you say like, I need a copy editor, and there's a whole bunch of people and you just contact them sort of one by one and, you know, negotiate the, Blurb didn't do the price, like you had to do it yourself. But basically, you know, you contact them and say, you know, are you free? This is the date I need it, and how much do you charge? And you know, and I wanted a cover for mine, so I went in and I found 2 or 3 people, and one I found some guy in Phoenix who worked for a publisher. I think he worked for like McGill or somebody like that, and he did it in his spare time. And you know, he told me, he said outright, he said, I won't be really fast, like it'll take me a week or 2. And I said, you know, that's fine, I'm not in a hurry. And he gave me a kind of a really good rate. Didn't cost a lot of money, and you know, because he did it as like a side hustle. And you know, there were 4 or 5 people that would design a cover for you, and there were, you know, he I think he would even do a whole book if you just wanted him to do the whole book. So there's people like that. They used to have a like a, I think they were called resources on Blurb, and you could find people that would help you, like, or just like a copy edit, like to just make sure there's no typos or anything. That, you know, they don't charge an arm and a leg, and they'll, you know, if you can find them, they'll do that for you. It was really handy. If they, I hope they still have that somewhere.
I don't know about that. I'm going to look into it. I don't think I would use it because I have worked as a designer and editor and I love doing it, but hell, I would do that. I would go on there and look for gigs, but yeah. Blurb has a great website. They have a YouTube channel. That's part of why. Part of why I'm so big on Blurb. Good quality, full range of prices, and all these resources online. And if they still have that, if any of you guys, you know, dig into that, I'm gonna look into it. Maybe even as a to sell book design, because I just love designing books, my own and anybody else's. So I might look into that to see if I could offer to do that for people.
So if you need help with that, just ask Mary.
Yeah. One other thing too, one thing really quick, like for our openings, when we have the openings, like one thing we can do is bring our books, like especially the Water to Wine. They have a lot of, like, it's like a living room type place. So if anybody has a book and wants to come to the opening, it's probably a good idea. Like we can, when we're meeting folks, we can have our books there and let them like flip through and see more of our work. So I would suggest for the artists that are in the show, if you have a book, it doesn't have to be even the work that's in the show, like just, it's a very informal spot. So, you know, maybe we should start doing that when we do our shows, like have, you know, a way at the openings, just bring books and have a table where people can flip through our work, because it is a great way to share more work.
And the Round Rock Image Creators, I made a catalog for a show we had a year or so ago, and we had copies at the opening and sold some. So that's another way. And it had images of everybody who has stuff in the show. So that's a good thing. It's a good sales thing too. I haven't really gotten into trying to push the sales in, but that's my goal for the next year or two, to get get that actually going, have stuff for sale. Yeah.
And Carol, if you can put any resources or links in the chat, I think we could probably add that to the YouTube comments as well. Or
Yeah.
you can do it on the YouTube comments when it's posted by Ed later.
Even on generalprinciplesblurb.com, it's just it's a great resource. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Have we run out of questions?
I'm going crazy. I think that is a beautiful picture.
I'm sorry, which?
I'm going crazy. I think that's a beautiful
Isn't
picture.
that pretty? That's not mine. I found it on Adobe.
Mary, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mary.
Before we break up, we really need to take advantage of this opportunity to work with APPA. We have people in this club that turn out as good or better images than the PPA folks do. The difference is that this is fundamentally a group of enthusiasts and artists. APPA is populated about 80% with people that make their living on photography. So they have some different goals than we do. But as the next level up, PPA, Texas PPA, and national PPA, there is no distinction between the artist community and the paycheck community. So we need to take advantage of working with APPA. They're interested in keeping their activity up. We should take advantage of it. And we should put some really good images in the competition. I have, over the past few months, worked out a few steps to put a simple mat on my image so I can help people mat their images. I had Gary chewing on me about, well, the last show we did, you didn't put mats on your image. I printed mats. I have printed mats or shown without borders forever. So we have that opportunity to do the images.
When he talked about mats, is he just talking about a wide white border, basically?
Say again.
When he was talking about mats, digital mats on your photos, is he just talking about a white wide border?
Typically, PPA borders are not white.
Okay.
The typical border is 1 inch to 1.5 inches. It is a color from the image with a stroke around the inside of the image itself to separate it from the mat. So at first glance, it looks like a cut mat.
Okay.
Oh, if you get carried away, I had an image that went 1 of 16 in Texas PPA annual competition. There were 6,000 images in the competition. And my image was just a black or a near black background and a white stroke in Photoshop. Just trivial exercise in Photoshop to get it matted. So even with the mat, the real focus is on your image. On our website, thanks to Bree Thatcher, we have a piece on the 12 elements of a merit image. It makes it clear how they fit together and how they interlock. But impact is number one. So look at our stuff, look online, talk to the AI tools. They can help you with that. So I'm going to be talking to individuals on encourage them to put their images in, Dennis. There will be some very, very nice images that are about professional sales work, lighted studio, all of that. But motorsports images can win too. Typically in APPA, there's 1 or 2 birds on a stick every month. So our birders should feel welcome there. Now, remember that when you do birds, you're competing directly with Roy. That is his field. He teaches PPA birding. photography. Some of his best images are birds.
Hmm.
So let's engage, get our images ready. Literally anything that you have created in your lifetime could be put into this annual competition.
Bill, meeting with Roy for the non-member.
I'm a member. I'm going to have to compete as a member.
Oh.
But you're not gonna do a bird.
So I have been, I'm an APPA member. I'm a TPPA member, which by the way is probably something that a lot of you might be interested in is TPPA. There are twice monthly free talks from Texas PPA. There's some trips that are very moderately priced. They just did one to Red River. Each year they hold an annual competition, gets 6,000 to 9,000 entries. It's judged basically on the same PPA merit system. Any questions? Any volunteers? Besides Dennis and Stephen and Verland hiding behind me. Anything else? Thank you. Have a good evening.